If your leads are not responding to your text messages after you've just spent top dollar to get them into your funnel, it means your texts look automated and they need to get fixed. In this video, we're going to be exploring the 5 different texting strategies that you could use on your first initial outreach to a prospect so that you sound more human and you don't get ghosted. We'll be exploring topics such as ideal texting speed to lead, the length of your text, adding links versus not adding links, and so much more. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tristan, and on here I talk about all things iMessage and SMS sales so that you as a business owner can 2x your replies, your bookings, and your conversions. I've literally overseen millions of text messages sent out from all of our clients, so I have a pretty good idea of what gets you ghosted versus what gets you seen and replied to. So let's get right into it. I think we've all been seeing this shift where businesses are no longer emailing us, they are texting us. They are catching us on the device that we use the most and the communication platform that we use the most, which is text message. And it makes sense. Open rates on text messaging are as high as 98% versus emails ones, which are trash, being like 20% open rate, which is even generous for most businesses. But we're still seeing the same problem with texting that we used to see with emailing, in that response rates are dropping. So even though people are opening the texts on their phone coming in from businesses, they are ignoring them and they are not engaging with them, which is a huge, huge problem. And it comes down to 2 things. So the first one is that texting is becoming the new spammy email. The same way that we receive emails, we click on them, we don't read the copy, we scroll right down to the bottom and we click that unsubscribe button, we're seeing the same pattern via text messaging. We're receiving text messages, we're clicking on them, and we are typing in bold, "Stop," before even looking at that text. And the second problem, and the reason that response rates are dropping, is that humans are becoming extremely good at detecting automation, okay? We've received hundreds of thousands of emails across our life, and so we know the tricks that marketers use to try and get us to read emails, like personalizing those emails as much as possible or adding a Loom video in those emails. And we just know that they are automated, they're coming from a CRM, and we're seeing the same thing via text message. We are getting bombarded with texts that don't feel personal, that all look the same, and so we don't even give that business the time to opt out. We just leave them on unread. So we don't want to be this business owner who's getting all of these leads and that's paying top dollar for those leads, that's sending them out a text and that's getting ignored and ghosted. We don't want that. We don't want that to be you. We want to be that business owner that sends out a text asking the prospect for something or getting them to book something or getting them to buy something to actually respond and follow through. And so to do that, we have to implement strategies to make our text not feel automated, okay? And the first strategy is the speed to lead. There is this golden rule across the industry where you have to get to your leads within 10 minutes time. And it makes sense. You're trying to get to your lead within their highest point of interest. And what you're not trying to do is not getting to that lead within 10 minutes and having them continue the scroll on their phone and end up on a competitor and end up talking to that competitor before they even talk to you. Via text messaging though, waiting is actually a good thing. And not waiting too long, just waiting 5 to 6 minutes. If you're sending out a text within the first minute or 2 minutes of that lead opting into your conversation, they know it's automated. I mean, there is no way that you have the time to receive that survey response, for you to go on your phone and for you to text out a text message. It's just impossible. So creating a short little delay between your first text message sent out to that prospect once they opted in is a really good thing. And it's going to break the pattern of what your leads and your prospects are used to seeing. So lead opts in, delay your first text from 5 to 6 minutes and then send out the first message. The same thing applies to texting outside of working hours. If your lead opts in at 2 a.m. and you're sending them out a text at 2 a.m., they know that that text is automated. So at least you could give them the decency of telling them that it's automated. So you could say something like, "Hey John, we just got your survey response. By the way, this is an automated text, but we will be sure that Tristan reaches out to you first thing in the morning. Thanks." Something like that. Strategy number 2 to make your text not feel automated is to break the wall, okay? Texting is not emailing. If you're writing texts the same way that you are writing emails, you are almost guaranteed to be left on red, or for people to opt out of your conversation before even having one with you. So if your text messages look like this, a brick on the person's phone that's going to take up half of their phone screen, you're going to get ignored. What you need to be doing is breaking up your text, break them up into shorter sentences, break them up into 80 characters maximum. And if you have a long text, it's okay to have 1 or 2 or 3 texts sent out, as long as it looks like a conversation, because that's what people are used to seeing on text message. They're used to seeing back and forth small little texts. The third strategy that you could use so that your texts feel human and they don't feel automated is to ditch the professionalism, okay? Never greet someone and never sign off on your text like you would be seeing here. If you're doing this or you're doing this is automated. People know that this is not genuine. The "I hope you're doing well today" feels like as if you went onto ChatGPT and you asked it to write you a copy of a script and it decided to use its professional tone that it's so used to, and it created this blurb of information, which people are not used to seeing on text message. The same thing goes with a signature at the bottom of your text. This is not emailing. Introduce yourself in a much more casual way. "Hey John, this is Tristan from Send Blue." The other really nice thing about introducing yourself in this specific way, which is, "Hey prospect name, this is my name from company name," is that Apple will actually pick up on this introduction and suggest you as a potential contact to that prospect. So when your prospect is receiving that text from you, it just feels much more usual and normal, something that they are used to seeing when they receive a new text from a friend that they just met. And finally, the fourth strategy that you could use in your texting outreach to sound more human and not automated is to skip the link, okay? When you're sending out a text and you want to send people media, a flyer, a booking page, a page to the products you're trying to sell, never send it in your first initial outreach to that prospect, because it feels scammy. It looks spammy. It signals red flags to that prospect. And it's not just signaling red flags to that prospect, it's also signaling red flags to that person's carrier or to Apple. Apple is actually going to add the "sender is not in your contact list" report junk button at the bottom of that text on your first initial outreach. And so if your prospect doesn't like that text, doesn't like how it's formatted, doesn't like the link in it, they could just click this button, report as junk, and your phone number is blocked. And it's not just because you added a link in that initial outreach. It actually is going to appear, that same button, on a perfectly normal piece of copy that we would suggest that you write. Even when you break up your text into shorter text and you do a proper introduction without a greeting or without signing off, Apple is still going to add that button because it's the first time that you're reaching out to that prospect. And so the only way for that button to disappear and for you to be able to then send flyers or media to your prospects, which I highly suggest, is to get a reply from them. That should be your sole goal when you're doing your first initial outreach to a prospect once they opt into your funnel. Get a reply from them so that the report as junk button disappears, and so that you could then go and send whatever type of media, whatever type of link, booking page, webinar registration, e-commerce product that you want in your texting outreach. So that's it. Those are the main 5 strategies that you can implement right now in your texting outreach to not seem automated, to get responses, and to not get ghosted. I want to finish off this video by saying that realistically, all of these strategies will only work if you are using the right texting channel. And by that, I'm trying to say that if you're using standard Android green SMS text that you're probably getting in your CRM or through Twilio, and you implement these strategies, you're only going to see a tiny little lift in your responses, because unfortunately, green texts give off spammy vibes. You have to include that opt-out language most of the times. There's words that you can't use in your texting campaigns, and your prospects are receiving those green texts from hundreds of different companies. So ideally, what you'd be doing is using a different channel, iMessage, which sends out blue text that seem more trustworthy and that actually stand out from the competition. I put a link in the description of this video, also in the comment section, and yes, it leads you to a funnel. Yes, I'm trying to sell you something, but really, I'm just trying to do this because I truly think that adding iMessage and blue text into your business, into your Go High Level account, into your HubSpot account could really make the whole difference between getting ghosted and getting seen with all of these strategies that we just talked about today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll talk soon.